So this is braking systems. We talked about this earlier. To be a race-ready group, to have the Dura name on it, there were a lot of things had to happen, and one of them was obviously that, the new lever shape. The other thing was, the rotor design. I don't know, it's such an emotional thing for people, to look at a bike and say, okay, that's a road racing bike. And I think this rotor design, to use kind of a current rotor that we'd built for a mountain bike, it was like, okay, it had this kind of cool technology, but to actually build something that looks really cool on a road bike, I think was really important. But not only that, but if you look at the really cool kind of wings in here, there's actually a reason we did that. And it's all one continuous aluminum piece. So on our rotors, the IceTech rotors, it's a clad system. So there's an aluminum core that runs down the middle. This is one continuous piece of aluminum. So it allows the heat to dissipate much quicker. It comes all the way through and it doesn't go into the system. The heat comes away from the caliper. So not only does it keep the system cooler, but it moves the heat away from it. So it drops it around 30 C from the previous, that we call the RT99. So it's even cooler than the RT99. And then the calipers, as everybody knows, everything's going flat mount. So everything from us going forward will be in a flat mount system. And one of the questions we had earlier is, I see that there is, some with the IceTech fins, and then there's some without the IceTech fins. So the one without is kind of our super lightweight. It's a titanium back pad. It's the lightest system. The idea being that with the new rotor, you've dropped the temperature down, basically what you were getting with the fin pad. So you're kind of balancing those two out. If you want extra cooling, you can go to the fin pad. And that's the same pad we already have with the current flat mount calipers. So it's same pad. The other, this one, the non-fin pad is the new pad, and that's the titanium backed pad that we had made. We make a similar pad, I think, in the mountain bike side for the race brakes. Any questions on disc brakes?
Are you finding that more and more pros are asking for disc brakes?
It's interesting. Yeah, we have, there's a lot of discussion going on about disc brakes. And like I said, just being in Europe, hearing some of the team directors, the technical directors for each of the teams, they all believe that it's a big part of the future. They know it's coming. And there's just, I think, some kind of logistics that need to be worked out first. And everyone getting comfortable with the product. It's very traditional. Road racing, especially in Europe, is very traditional. So, we were showing mechanics how they would change a wheel. These guys haven't even played with a through axle system. So we happened to have one of our new wheel sets on a new frame. And it was fun to watch the mechanics sit there and try and see how quickly they could undo the quick release and understanding how the whole process works. So you can see, they're so focused on what they're doing today that they really don't have time to think about something new like that. Whereas the bike industry, that's what we do. That we're looking into the future and we're looking out, how is riding changing and how could this product be used? But you can see the technical directors at each of the teams that we work with are all very clear that this is going to be a part of their future.
I know a big issue was that a lot of people were afraid that disc brakes would be too powerful. It's either they're on or off. So with this new redesign, do these have more modulation? Is that something that you guys considered?
Yes. Well, we've really tried to optimize them. It wasn't really about giving more power. It was really about kind of a balance of power, like you talked about. But we have modified the system, so the kind of the primary front brake is now a 160. We believe that that's probably the better braking system, just for the total usage. But I think the big question is going to be the mixing of rim brake and disc brake in the peloton, and I think that's a discussion that's still ongoing. How do you bring two braking systems together? And like I said, generally the way we look at the world, when you use a 140 in the front and a 140 rotor in the rear, in dry conditions, it has the same stopping power as a rim brake in dry conditions. But as soon as you change those conditions, obviously disc brake gets significantly better, the rim brake gets worse. And what happens when you mix those two together? That I think that's one of the biggest concerns from the rider's perspective, is they've already seen that there are You know, they already see it in the peloton when you have a really good braking system on a bike and a bad braking system with rim brake. They see that discrepancy. Now when you take that and you add a disc brake system that'll stop even faster, they just need to figure out, is it going to be an all or nothing proposition, or how will that work out? And I think those are some of the questions that still need to be answered. And I think those are some of the concerns for the riders.
What is the maximum rotor size you'll have available for road bikes?
Great question. So we'll make 160 and 140 in this system. So that was the other question. How long are you going to keep making rim brakes? So what you'll see in the two systems is we did parallel development. We know that disc brakes are the future. We know that it's going to be a big part of the evolution of road riding. But we also know that rim brakes are going to also continue to be an important part of the future. So between the mechanical shifting and the rim brakes, we've put a lot of development time into it. So we took what was already the best rim brake on the market, and we've actually made it better. So what we did, one of the things we saw with the current rim brake is that as you got to the top end of the power, you're squeezing the hardest, there was a little bit of flex in that double arm design. And so what we've done is we beefed this up. So you're going to see that, you're not going to see that kind of drop off in power at the top end. It'll stay very consistent, very linear. And the other really nice thing about this new caliper is it's really clean and call it aerodynamic. You can see even something as simple as the quick release is tucked in completely, so it's very clean. And then we will also be offering it in direct mount. So you're going to see more and more frames coming out with direct mount. The other big change, 28C tire clearance. 28C tire clearance on both styles. So the standard mount plus the direct mount will all have 20C clearance. Obviously, the frame has to have that clearance built in as well, but this gives the frame manufacturers a lot more flexibility in their design because nobody's going backwards. Nobody's making, the frames tighter. So I think you're just going to continue to see more and more tire clearance with these. The last thing we had to talk about is the new pedal. The pedal's basically getting kind of a redesign in the body shape and dropping a little weight. If you notice, we're using less aluminum on those little plates, but it drops a little bit of weight overall, but not a huge change. Gets the new logo as well. Yeah, let's go back to brakes.
Will the pads be using the same inserts, the same rubber inserts?
Yes. So the pad inserts are the same. I don't know if you're familiar, especially as you go to the wider rims, we make a thin pad. So obviously for us, that will become more common as we have gone now to a 28 width on all our tubulars. So that one's for anything, I think above about a 25, we recommend you go to the thinner pad. So typically if a bike comes with wide rims, they've already spec'd the caliper with the thin pads. But you also have the thin pad as an option for the aftermarket if someone's upgrading a wheel set. Last thing we had, the pedal. And then we'll kind of recap. So what's going on? We talked about the drivetrain, the heart of the system. New crankset, new power meter. Rider tune gear selection. So the gearing and the crank is going to stay basically the same. What we're adding, obviously, is now the 1130. So you're going to that wider gear range. We've got new system wheels, both the C60s and the C40s. In your Di2 shifting, synchronized shifting. How many people think they've got some customers out there that are going to go synchro? Do you guys already have like a couple people in mind? You're like, I wish I could put these guys on synchro? Yeah, I've heard that a lot. So, and like I said, this may not be for everybody, but I think for a lot of people, especially people who aren't comfortable with front shifting, I think they're going to find that this could change their lives. And then as an enthusiast, I love the semi-synchro because it saves me a shift. It's a shift I have to make every single time I shift the front derailleur. So I think you're going to find a bunch of people wanting to play around with it. The new hydraulic dual control lever, that's going to be a game changer, I think, when it comes to disc brakes. And I think when people get these bikes and get on the, actually go out and ride them, that's where you really feel the difference, is you don't notice that you're on a disc brake hood anymore. Direct mount, low profile rear derailleurs. One of the things I didn't mention that, we talked about eventually the OEMs will have the option to do a direct mount. When you look at a direct mount with a through axle, it really cleans up the bike. Changes actually the way the back of the bike looks. So I think you're going to see some better looking bikes in places that you hadn't expected. Mechanical shifting, that new front derailleur. And like I said, I encourage you to come over and check out the sample bike we have to get a good look at it. And then obviously the new direct mount Shadow RD. Braking systems, you have full hydraulic, and we've completely redesigned the rim brake. So there's your Di2 full group. There's your mechanical. System supremacy. The ultimate creation in system engineering. I mean, we talked about it. It is who we are, and that's how we look at it. We look at it as a total package. We look at it as how do all these pieces kind of fit together and enhance your riding experience. It's Dura-Ace. And I'll leave you with another movie. There, we're done. Thank you guys. Thanks for doing it.